And then finally, the Defense of Marriage amendment. Of course, Obama has abandoned any pretense, along with Holder, of defending DOMA, the Defense of Marriage Act, and that also is very, very much in question. Exactly whether that is going to be thrown out as a pillar of morality in America. All in all, I am very pleased. Really, I'm very pleased that the surge of Republicans and Tea Party people came in and slowed down, if not stopped, a tidal wave of more and yet more very pernicious and destructive legislation coming very largely from ADL.
Right, right. Well, when you look at the Congress, are any new voices coming forward, Ted, that are on our side, that have any clout there, that are up to date on the issues?
Well, I would say that Rand Paul is probably the closest, along with his father, of having reservations about absolutely unconditional support of Israel.
Yeah, now, let me talk about that. Is Rand Paul or is Rand Paul not a supporter of Israel?
Yes. Well, he's a supporter of Ayn Rand. He's named after Ayn Rand, a libertarian guru, and
anyway. Okay.
Yeah, that means a philosophy of non-involvement with Israeli advancement in the Middle East. On the other hand, Rand Paul can say some pretty slavering things toward the Jews, which don't, the Zionists, which don't make any sense, about being a bastion of peace of all things in the Middle East. No, I learned a long time ago that we can't trust in any politician, even the best of the politicians. I'm just saying that of an entire Congress that bows down in obeisance to Israel, and we certainly saw that with the speech of Netanyahu several weeks ago in Congress, the only even simmering or feeble sparks of independence of mind have come from Rand Paul and maybe from his father.
That's it.
That's pretty much it. All the feisty hate bill people that fight against the hate bills, the Louis Gohmerts and the Steve Kings and so on, they're right there clapping along with all the liberals for more money for Israel. So it's a mixed bag. We've had a big win in holding back even worse hate crimes legislation coming down the conveyor belt, preoccupying me full time and preoccupying the religious right. But on the other hand, it's ominous how unremitting is the support of Israel and the coalition, pro-Zionist coalition, including Hagee and all the rest of them. It's a madness beyond belief.
All true. All right. Talking with Ted Pike, and we'll be back. I want to ask him about the state of the 35 million or so American Christian Zionists. Next. Okay, I'm back with Ted Pike. All right, Ted, go ahead if you would.
Yeah, the evangelicals, which range between an estimated 35 to 70 million
70
worldwide.
Oh, worldwide, all right, yeah.
Yeah, worldwide, talking about Africa and Europe and so on. They are very aware of the mounting criticism of Israel. They're very aware. Their children go to colleges. They're seeing these protests. They're in classes where Israel is criticized, and yet they are in a state of retrenchment, and they don't know what to do about it. But what they're doing is they are clinging to traditional responses, traditional simplistic responses, traditional responses from teachers, Bible teachers, prophecy teachers, literally going back a century. And I had an email which you published at Rense.com in which I was quoting from Michael Savage, who was quoting from Ezekiel 38 and 39, and he was WorldNet Daily and Michael Savage were saying that Obama is actually laying the groundwork for a apocalyptic war, Armageddon in the East, in which the forces of the nations will come against Israel and then be massively destroyed in a big Armageddon shootout.
Well, the latest is that we may be planning a strike on Syria. That's what's being rumored now by Debka, which is Mossad Intel, but the Navy is over there, and there's a lot of apparent attention being focused on Syria by American counterintelligence and obviously black ops people.
Yeah, but underlying this pseudo-religious mentality underlines the whole feeling in the Western world that among evangelicals that according to biblical prophecy, all the nations will come against Israel in the end times, and they certainly will in due course. Someday, I believe that Israel will be expelled from the Middle East again into great tribulation under their false Messiah Antichrist. That's a eschatological issue, but what the evangelicals believe is that if you are anti-Israel, if you are even critical of Israel, then you are part of this massive world prophesied opposition to Israel, which God hates, which God will judge with terrible wrath from heaven, and so on. That's what Michael Savage says. That's what WorldNet Daily and Joe Farah says. And so the name of the game for the evangelicals right now is to stay just as far as they possibly can from any hint of criticism of Israel, lest you be included in those that God rains down fire and brimstone on in the Battle of Armageddon. In fact, the evangelicals are almost totally incapable of original thought, even of biblically accurate thought concerning the identity of Israel and its misbehavior today and all of the things that we're trying to tell them. They're like lemmings swimming out to the sea. They don't know where they're going. They are just herding as a vast and mindless a bunch of drones that the ADL, Jewish media, play upon like puppet masters.
Well, they are in some ways the scariest of all. They're going to be the last to figure it out. They're being manipulated constantly.
The good news, however, is I'm not pinning all of my hopes on the evangelicals saving civilization. They are the major contributors to the decline of civilization by building up this Antichrist world system, Israel, and protecting Jewish media and so on from scrutiny and criticism. The good news is that all around the world, even in the governments of the world, there is mounting a criticism of Israel, blatant criticism of Israel. You can hardly read anything out of Haaretz and even many articles in the Jerusalem Post and the Jewish media now, the private Jewish media, for Jews I mean, Ynet and the others, in which they are bemoaning the fact that Israel is in a pariah state. It's not someday going to become one, it actually is. And even liberal church organizations like the Lutherans and Presbyterians are boycotting it, and governments are expressing the strongest displeasure. The polls continue to rise in countries like Italy. Certainly in places like Spain, 50% of the people believe that Jews have too much power. In Poland, the same figure, 50%. Same way in Hungary and others. Many European nations now the people are very critical of Israel, and it's actually becoming fashionable on campuses and in these countries, even in U.S. campuses, to be critical of Israel. And certainly this is a radical departure from the total unconditional support that I certainly experienced when I was on campus back in the 60s and 70s.
Wow. Wow. All right. What about the Christian right? Still sleepwalking under the control of people who have no idea what's really going on?
Well, yeah,
the old guard is still there.
Yeah, and there's a crazy lack of integrity in people like Glenn and Hagee and so on. no matter how obvious it is to them who is controlling things and who is corrupting the nation, they continue to be bootlickers of Israel and ADL and so on. It's a massive betrayal. It's a massive spiritual
Well, it is a betrayal.
apostasy.
Is that word being echoed amongst the Christian right at all? Do they get it? I mean, you certainly are a man of stature, and it is a betrayal.
Yeah. They look at betrayal of Israel as a much greater sin than betrayal of support of Israel. The great virtue is to support Israel blindly, whatever she does. You see, there's an apostasy, there's a heresy within Christian Zionism that says that no matter how wicked and oppressive Jews may become, God has a fawning delight with them, and they still remain the apple of his eye, and so on. This is absolutely contrary to everything the prophets, the law and the prophets, especially the New Testament and Paul, New Testament teaching is that the true Jew is the one who does the works of faith, of kindness and mercy and justice that Abraham did, and those who don't do that, especially who reject Jesus Christ and blaspheme him, are the synagogue of Satan, and their capital city, Jerusalem, is Sodom and Egypt, where Jesus was crucified. It's not the holy city of the great king and the city of peace. The New Testament is very tart, very realistic about the facts concerning that the Jews who are in opposition to Christ are actually enemies of the gospel. It says that very pointedly, and Jesus warns us to beware of the Pharisees, beware of the teaching of the Pharisees. And all this, of course, is swept under the rug by the evangelicals who are much more attuned to the Zionist pablum, Zionist propaganda, than they are to their own scriptures.
Well, interesting. I do hear ads. Did you see the video I posted the other day by the American Jewish commentator? I can't remember his name. That contended that the entire Middle East should be given to Israel, and all the problems there would pretty much go away. Did you see that one?
I think I saw a caption or title, but I didn't actually watch it.
Oh, you know, that's a classic.
I'll try to do that.
Yeah, that's a classic. And
yeah. Well, the mentality of both Israel and the evangelicals is that we need to have one more big push to drive out all the Palestinians, take everything from Egypt to Syria, Lebanon to the Sinai, and somehow in expelling the final remnants of Arab opposition, suddenly we'll have a peace and tranquility there. But of course, that doesn't take into effect that there are billions of very, very angry Muslims from every direction who will even be surrounding that political entity should it come to fruition, only increasing the outcast nature of Israel.
Well said. All right. What is your goal for the rest of this year, Ted, before we stumble into 2012 and the end of civilization as we used to know it?
Well, my business is to stand on the wall, and I was just on with Rick Adams. I tell him that we have researchers here at truthtellers.org. Every day we go to the Jewish websites, Ynet, and to Jerusalem Post, Haaretz, ADL.org, finding out what the Jews are saying among themselves, the supremacist Jews, and taking advantage of the blunders, the opportunities they give us.
They do
to
too.
explain more fully the threat that's in front of us.
This is really an issue of supremacist psyche running amok. And from that, we see the engenderment and the manifestation of racism, death, genocide, and all kinds of things. So the chosen, supremacist. Not all Jews are of that mind. And they are the ones, I've said it before, who are going to have to stand up and help lead the charge to knock this horrible consciousness out and away from their religion.
Absolutely.
Or they're going to continue to pay the price. We can't do it without their help, though. So a lot of wonderful Jews participate on this program and write things for the network, and they get it. They understand. We're human beings on this planet. Supposedly all together. Ted, thank you for all you do, and great to talk to you again.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, my friend. Be well.